Hi, in this hsbDesign for Revit training session, we're going to take a look at the detail side of things. In the last session, we defined the framing styles over here, and right now we want to add an edge detail to the exterior wall. Edge details are defining the edges of the wall. Each detail location is represented up here. So this is the bottom of the wall, and this is the top of the wall, left and right. The blue dot always marks the activated detail. So, at the moment, the bottom detail is activated. We can switch between the details by clicking on the dots. These angle details are, for example, if you have this wall in a gable wall and it is cut by a roof. As you can see, at the moment, all of these details are using the default type. So, in order to add a new detail, we need to activate the desired location and afterwards click Add Detail. In the Detail Editor, we start by giving this detail a new name. For this one, we go with W for Wall and then Bottom, as it is for the bottom detail. Up here, we have the option to add inventory items, auxiliary geometry, tools, and define the core layer. How to use the auxiliary geometry and the tools will be the topic of a later video. But for now, we want to add an inventory item. I would advise you to use the Add Free inventory item, as this is place floating, so you can move it straight away. As you can see, this is also defined by the aliases. So, at the moment we're using default beam, and as you already know, this is a type material, so we can't change the dimensions. If I would, however, use, for example, OSB, which is an instant material, I would have the option to change the dimensions. But we're using default beam for this one. Furthermore, you can already change the beam code. For this one, we use bottom plate, as this will be our second bottom plate. And again, it's important that this beam code is unique, so you can clearly identify the beams later on when you want to modify them in another detail. So next up, we have the option to turn this beam with this rectangle, and you can move it around. So we move it down here into the position. And as you can see, here is an exclamation mark symbol. If you hover over this exclamation mark symbol, you get what's wrong with the beam. So this beam is not fully defined because we need to add more constraints. This means we need to activate these anchor symbols, and we need to activate 2 anchor symbols so that the beam is fully anchored into position. So, as you can see, the exclamation mark symbol is now gone, and I get a detail with no errors. Furthermore, you can define the core layer. This means the end or beginning of the studs. So if I select Define Core Layer, I can select different lines. So when I select this line, this means that the studs will go until the top of the second bottom plate. In the end, we need to change the beam code of this very bottom plate again. So we just use VBP for very bottom plate so that we can clearly identify it afterwards in other details. Once this is done, you can close the detail editor, and you also have like a preview up here. And as for the framing styles, a 3D preview as well, in which you can see that we now have 2 beams. You also have the option to add connection details and opening details. As this is a little bit more complicated, we'll do both of these in separate videos. I hope this video helped you get an introduction into the edge details, and for more information, check out all our other tutorial videos. See you in the next one.